the new Nintendo Switch created by Nintendo, that of whom created the Nintendo Switch by Nintendo.
So today's stream will be short here.
Are you stupid? If you've answered yes to this question, what happened to your self-esteem? Are you doing okay? It's never good when you start self-deprecating yourself. It's just bad for your ego. So here's some bootlegged consoles. I've cooked up another lovely batch of consoles here. Peter's doing the same thing again. He's running out of ideas. Okay, the video's canceled. Bye-bye. Speaking of ideas, this thing is terrible looking. It's got my two favorite things, Sonic, and this is the PXP3 Slim Station, subtitle 16-bit digital pocket system. On the case, it's the most self-centered, vain video game console I've ever seen. 16-bit, new game, big screen, super capacity plus 1G. I haven't the slightest idea what that means. It's also got 999,888 built-in and 900,000 game card. I haven't the slightest idea what that means. Also, of course, it's got some Crash Bandicoot, some Dragon Ball Z, some Call of Duty characters. We got some good stuff. So, we got a little game cartridge, and this thing is adorable. 900,000 in one random special, and it's got a picture of Tails. You know, it's not too trash, and the buttons actually feel okay. And by not too trash, I mean, I like the green glossy paint. This thing actually looks pretty good. Please ignore the band-aid on my hand. This is a video where my hands are shown a lot. But I've got this cupboard of candy, and because I have gluttony problems, I keep going to grab candy out of it, and the top of the cupboard is like right here, and I keep punching it and hitting the same spot on the same finger. So it hurts, and you would rather see this band-aid than what's underneath, let me tell you. I punched earlier today, and there was a hunk of flesh. I looked where I punched, there was a hunk of flesh hanging off. I'm not even kidding. Alright, so we're talking about video game consoles.
From a distance, this PSP might not look very much different from the current model.
So the PXP3, once again, super short AV cable. I've probably got an AV cable extender somewhere in my life. You gotta be kidding me. I actually found one. You can blow through it. It's not an instrument, I just was testing that. And then this to this, and then okay, I see Woody Woodpecker, and then I see, is this Frusaradisto pie? Full CGI cutscenes in this old of a game is pretty fancy. Pika-pow! I can't do anything. This control's so bad. I don't know if it's the D-pad or this actual game. If anyone has ever played Frankenstein HD, yow! I'm not very good at Frankenstein HD. So there appears to be this many games. Bible Adventure. Uh-oh. So here we are, Noah. Yep, turns out it's just the D-pad is bad. Pupper, are you okay? Puppy, would you like to... Oh, we're arcing. Let's go. I'm taking this one dog. All the other animals can just go away. Is that cake? Did they have cake back in the Noah days? Oh, you can... Oh, he's fast! Ooh, that monkey's throwing poop. Nope, 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 nope. This is not biblical. Chucky soon off. Chucky son off. What? Hold up. I went back 3 pages and I'm already back to Sonic. Could it be that this doesn't actually have almost 1 million games on it? There's maybe like 30 games all scattered throughout. It's really not that bad of quality, to be honest. For what is in this cartridge? This Tails cartridge of random special. Let's find out. Yeah, it's just more Genesis, I think. In conclusion, more Genesis.
Wow! What's this one? Oh, this is a Sega Genesis. Wow, Sonic's fast, too.
Next up, we got the Pocket. Hello, this is Peter speaking. You may know me from my YouTube channel, but unlikely. So a lot of the time when I do videos looking at products from Wish or Amazon or eBay, I get a lot of people asking for links to the products I review. I'm normally too lazy to put the links in myself, and sometimes there are like 50 products in one video. So to make things simpler, I want to quick mention the Chrome extension Ditto. If you're watching on Chrome, I got a link to it in the description, and it'll give you a little pop-up with its own link to the product that I'm looking at in a video. Using Ditto to buy anything in my videos supports my channel. It makes my life a little easier. If you want that, just use the link in the description. Go to getditto.com/Peter, and it'll throw you a link with any products I'm looking at in the video. Also, it'll work for future shopping and review videos that I do, so it will be useful in the future. Thank you. Thanks to Ditto for partnering with me, and I'm glad that the two of you are now best friends. Okay, I will leave now. The Pocket Go. According to the listing, get free rainbow buttons. Beyond that, it shows a very Windows-esque looking background. If it has that kind of UI to it, I will be very impressed. Ooh. This thing kind of legit, though. This feels like this actually has weight to it. Every other product you buy from Wish, it's got some sort of like anti-gravity technology that makes it just the lightest, non-substantial thing ever. I don't even know if this is really a bootleg console, I guess, but I thought it looked a lot like, I don't know if anyone remembers the Game Boy Advance Micro, but it looked a lot like this. It had about the same shape. It was a tiny Game Boy Advance. It was actually smaller than this. This thing, when I'm done, this is going right here. This is a hot-looking device. Whew, I do say myself, I would certainly marry it and raise a family. Alright, that was weird.
The new Game Boy Micro. Extremely stylish.
We are here in place that I have edited, where we'll be testing the Pocket Go. It's got this interesting UI. Looks like some kind of... You tech people know what I mean. File Explorer WQX, which seems to have opened a UI within the UI. I get a keyboard, there's a snake dude. I don't know what this is. You tech people will know. This up close. That don't look too bad. It has Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, NES, SNES, SMS, Mega Drive, Atari, Lynx, PC Engine. Is this a PC Engine? DOS. I am playing Windows on this. Look at this keyboard. That's the world's tiniest keyboard. Theoretically, I could run Overwatch on this. Let me just get you an up close on this screen right here. Look at this. This is actually fantastic. This runs 3D games. I've never played the original Doom. I officially declare the Pocket Go to be the very best thing that anyone has made. This goes for all things. Food, cars, food. I feel like I purchased something I'm actually going to use again. This never happened on Wish. Yeah, I just double checked in my brain. I don't think that's ever happened on Wish. Alright, next up. The Minigame Anniversary Edition Entertainment System built-in 260 classic games. That's why is everything got to be such a mouthful. Now this is supposed to be kind of like the SNES Mini or whatever that old-looking. I'm very distracted. All right, we got some controllers. They're the right size. D-pad's acceptable, and now the actual console here. Not sounds you want to hear. Alright. They put a lot of thought into the menu music with this one. Chack and Pop? Oh, it is Chack and Pop. Thought maybe this was a typo for chicken. Alright, well how does one chack and pop? I assume that was the pop. Gig Dug. This one's gotta be a typo. Yes! It's Gig Dug! Let's go! I caught you, console! X'd eyes. Flappy. Golg. Golg. I just need to know. Pikachu! Oh my gosh, is this the classic video game Pikachu? It is! There he is! I've played this game. I will not play it again. Castle excellent. This sounds fantastic. Oh, quite. Oh, indeed. Yes. The key to the door. This truly is an excellent castle. I will poke. Poke, 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 poke. Most unsatisfactory. I thought this was supposed to be excellent. Now I'm dead. Get to the cross. God save the Queen. Now you shoot me! Quite an excellent, quite post-haste, indubitably quite. Is this a trap? Excellent! Just all the classic bootleg games on here. Frantic mouse. I'm not even that frantic of a mouse. Awful rushing. Okay. I mean, this isn't awful. It's just another case of these bootleg consoles not living up to their advertising. Mouse hero. That's a bear. Oh, no. Well, the D-pad stopped working after I got the first one. Not that the mice heroes are too upset about that. Sometimes you just hold the D-pad. Ubisoft, quit putting out unfinished games. Pulveration. Rabbit Village. I'm down for some Rabbit Village. I'm not down. We gotcha. There you go. Get in. Get in. In short, this is nothing new. In fact, I would dare say that this is everything old. Last but not least, and this one excites me because it's huge, and when I saw the listing, I thought it was huge. In fact, it's so big that it's X16, and that's a very large quantity of measurement. Oh my gosh, this thing is huge. The buttons feel legit. It's got like a rubbery finish to it. The control sticks are grippy. They're like slide pads, kind of like on the PSP. I'm gawking. This is an exciting episode. This is the POW Kitty. Okay, that is actually what it's called. But it's got a camera on it, supposedly. So this one's gonna have some features to test out. It's pretty. It's a stylish looking little thing. Big thing. It's called a POW Kitty. Cats are cute. Well, actually, it's spelled like the kitty like kids. So it's like POW, punch kids. Dude, I like it even more. Alright, so as you can see, you do get a little bit of a UI here. It's got an audio recorder. This is me. We got Beat It, and You Are Not Alone. Asian hits. Hold up. This is not Asian. Distort the audio because I can't start this now. Hold on. This is me. Alright, I'm gonna disconnect it for the moment and see if it'll let me. Oh, it's a cam. It's a camera. It is definitely a camera. And then that's you guys right there. Peter recorded a video using the console for about 5 minutes and then completely forgot to play it on the TV so that anyone could see, so sucks to be you. There are 2 videos on here already. Stop scrambling. I'm kind of scared to see what they are, but let's... Astro Boy! Why is there Astro Boy on here? Alright, what's the other one? Oh, it's a preview.
Over the years, they've taken you on amazing journeys and places you've only dreamed of.
Paris is real. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Disney Pixar will take you on their next great adventure.
What? Hold up. Who made the Astro Boy movie? Well, it sure wasn't Pixar. I'm gonna guess this is a fighting game. I will be Farmer Pig. Okay. Okay then. What is this? Goku! Craft sword. Don't tempt me. I might. Sure. Hi! What's going on? I agree, red-headed person. Good thing I've got my trusty hammer to fend off the approaching goblins. Yes, my glasses tell me that this is a good move that you have done. I like to yell, Kawaii! Now we sing our song of victory and rush into battle. Ha! I was the goblin all along. You have a tiny butt? Ooh. Let's go. We defeated Goblin Glasses Kid. Ha! Sure does suck to die, huh? Okay, apparently not. I don't know what that game was. It seemed pretty nice. And honestly, the screen is nice. That's the big selling point of this. Oh, it's gotta go. Yeah, there was a screen that said goodbye. I got really excited about it. Welcome back to my favorite part of the video, where I end it, but I still haven't played the consoles yet in terms of chronological reporting order, and so I'm just going to make something up about these. These two are really cool, probably. These two, questionable. Now, for something generic that I can say that will fit the outcome of whatever goes on when testing these, a game's a game. You want to play a game? You can play games on these. I can pretty much guarantee that. So hey, if you're the kind of guy, if you're like me, you like to play a game once in a while. Play your phone, idiot. Hello, I'm a therapist. What brings you in today? I am very stupid. You know, you really shouldn't self-deprecate yourself. It's kind of a form of giving up to your stupidity. I thought this was a Nintendo Switch. I should probably leave because I'm beyond saving, huh? I thought I was the only one.
VTech has been at the forefront of the edutainment industry for decades, and when you look back at their history, it's pretty easy to see why. The groundbreaking release of the VTech Talking Whiz Kid back in 1986 was so forward-thinking that they were teaching computer literacy to kids during a time when home computers were a luxury. They picked up the niche of demystifying technology and teaching how valuable and exciting of a learning tool it could be well into the early 2000s. Despite how much I loved VTech at the time, I somehow completely missed that they released their own edutainment video game console in 2004. It was called the V-Smile, and for an experimental educational console, it was met with tremendous success, selling 11 million units in total. In response, VTech kept expanding the scope of the V-Smile brand for years. More consoles, more accessories, more peripherals, more gimmicks, and some of these expansions were so ambitious and weird that I'm shocked they even exist at all. The V-Smile rabbit hole goes way deeper than I could have ever anticipated, so today we're going on a deep dive into the V-Smile extended universe. Let's go back to 2004 with the first generation V-Smile console. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, does it have power buttons, controller ports, and a reset button? Yes, it does. But it also has this little compartment up here where you can store up to 6 cartridges. Now, these aren't just any cartridges. The games they contain are educational. So these are smartridges. Looks like someone at VTech graduated with their marketing degree. Now, it should be obvious that I am not the target demographic for the V-Smile, but the reason I find it fascinating, even as an adult, is the console's emphasis on accessibility. Not only is the controller immediately intuitive and easy for kids to use, they went out of their way to make the controller inclusive for southpaws. When you flip the controller over and push this little switch, you can slide the joystick all the way over to the other side where it locks in place. So if you prefer to use the joystick in your right hand, you can absolutely do that. So regarding games, the V-Smile has a lot of them. Of the 70 or so that released, I have 37, so a little over half the library. There are a couple fully original games sprinkled in there, such as the iconic pack-in title Alphabet Park Adventure, but the V-Smile library is primarily composed of licensed games. The one thing that all the games have in common is that every single game for this console is educational, even if it's based on a property that that is not. For example, SpongeBob teaches grammar and spelling, Buzz Lightyear teaches math, and Shrek teaches cardinal directions. Not exclusively, most games teach a bunch of different subjects, but you get the idea. You can see how that marketing pitch led to 11 million consoles sold. Parents will do anything to help their kids pass their classes, so educational video games featuring their kids' favorite characters seemed like a no-brainer. We have a ton of stuff to cover in this video, so I'm not going to review individual V-Smile games in depth or anything, but I can at least get across the structure that every game uses, which is learning adventure and learning zone. Every single game uses this format. So, learning adventure is a linear campaign where you can either complete each game sequentially with the potential to game over if you run out of lives, or quick play, where you can select which game in the campaign you want to jump to. They generally have a decent blend of gameplay and learning. Sometimes they'll integrate it in a clever way, other times they just interrupt the gameplay for you to do a math problem. And Learning Zone is a separate set of minigames focusing on the core educational experience, usually involving solving a puzzle or answering questions, but in general you can think of Learning Adventure as the main course and then Learning Zone as like side dishes. A lot of the games can feel pretty samey, and not just because of the Learning Adventure Learning Zone format, it's because V-Smile only had 3 studios developing games for the thing: VTech themselves, Inlight Entertainment, and Disney Interactive. Of course they're going to feel similar. All of the games came from 3 studios. But of those 3, I feel like Disney Interactive knocks it out of the park the most consistently. In my opinion, Toy Story 2 is the best game on the system. It feels distinctly polished, it follows the events of the movie well, and it beautifully demonstrates the capability of the V-Smile. So if you're looking to grab a V-Smile, they don't cost much these days, thankfully, but make sure you grab a copy of Toy Story 2. Back in the day, VTech was really good at coming up with solutions for making their hardware accessible and finding clever ways to combine entertainment with education. Now, if you loved edutainment when you were a kid, there are paths you can take to still pursue learning in an engaging way as an adult. And that's where Skillshare, the sponsor for this video, comes in. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. I've been talking about a lot of game design stuff recently, and if you're looking for a gateway into the hobby, Skillshare can get you there. Whether you're interested in the core design, designing assets, or even programming, Skillshare can help take your skills to the next level. Planet Clue is a solo project, so I'm always looking for ways to optimize my workflow. I've been using Skillshare to better understand DaVinci Resolve for video editing in the hopes that someday I can fully migrate over to it. I plan to take a look at Marcel Patillo's 5-part DaVinci Resolve class. He goes over covering the basics, sound design, visual effects, and color grading. Skillshare has some new improvements, such as smarter class categories, new class topics, and the ability to find classes by software and material. You can tell Skillshare your interests, and it'll recommend classes tailored to you. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get started today. Next up, we have the 2nd generation V-Smile console. As you can see, it's a little wider than the first, and that's because of the built-in microphone. There's even a little grip on the side. You can drop it right in there. There's only a few games that utilize it, and they don't go any further than karaoke-style sing-alongs.
When the mic is on, it's just always broadcasting. Like, at all times. It just goes directly out to the TV. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Pokemon! Gotta catch 'em all! But yeah, overall, the mic is a little compressed, but not too bad, especially for like a console peripheral.
Another feature of the 2nd generation console was a controller with a writing pad built into it, so kids could practice writing letters and solve some drawing puzzles. But some games, like Zazu and Earth Adventure, are controlled entirely with the writing pad. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a hover feature. You have to press the pen into the pad for the cursor to move, and then press the button on the side of the pen to write. It's just so inelegant. I just want it to have hover. Like, if the UDraw game tablet can have hover, the V-Smile has no excuse. Another thing with the 2nd generation console is they released a 2nd version of Alphabet Park Adventure to take advantage of the new mic and writing pad features, and in this version they gave the art style a total makeover. So don't worry, you're not a victim of the Mandela effect for remembering one art style and not the other. It's just a console generational difference. And there was also a 3rd generation console, but we will cross that bridge when we get there. But for now, let's have a look at the V-Smile Pocket. It's a fully functioning handheld V-Smile, so you can play all your Smartridges on the school bus. It runs on 4 AA batteries. You can adjust your screen brightness and volume up here. It even comes with a cable that allows you to connect it up to your TV. And they didn't compromise the accessibility. You can flip the thing over, push the switch, and roll the controls over so the D-pad is on the other side. Absolutely wild. Truly nothing gets left by the wayside for VTech. As for the display, the ghosting is incredibly poor. There's a ton of analog noise, and the backlight bleeds a lot on the edges. I'm not sure sure if it's just because this device is 15 years old or if it was always just a lower quality screen. And here's the second generation V-Smile Pocket. The screen is smaller, but the device as a whole is significantly lighter. You can tell it's the second generation because it has a mic button right down here, like the second gen console. Unfortunately, the screen is just as bad as the previous generation. It's very noisy and very ghosty. But they did add a new feature to it, the V-Smile Pocket Power Pack. It was a specialized rechargeable battery pack that you shove into the console, and it allows you to sit it on a dock to charge it, which is really neat. That's a very cool idea. But we're not quite done with the handhelds yet, because next up is the V-Smile Cyber Pocket. This thing is decked out. It's got the writing pad, it's got the mic, it's got the TV out, it's got this thing, which I'll cover later, and they kept the rotating D-pad shenanigans. The screen still looks really bad, and it's the smallest one by far. It is 2.5 inches, which is smaller than my forehead, and yet they made another V-Smile Cyber Pocket that actually removes some features. No mic button, no more TV out, no more accessible D-pad. It's just a regular D-pad, but the screen is spectacular. It's pixel precise, the refresh looks perfect, there's no analog noise, the backlight is bright and even. This might be the best way to play V-Smile just because it has a direct digital RGB out to the LCD, and I know they could only make that happen by getting rid of the TV out. It's just a shame that the accessible D-pad and mic were sacrificed in the process, but man, that screen looks so good. Believe it or not, V-Smile had even more consoles after this. This is the V-Smile Motion, which released in 2008, and you'd better believe it had motion controls in an attempt to compete with the Nintendo Wii. I have both the blue one and the pink one, and both are scuffed in different ways, but they work fine, and that's what matters. The V-Smile Motion has its own set of games with orange cartridges. Now, as you'd expect, the V-Smile Motion console is backwards compatible. You can play original V-Smile games on it, but what you wouldn't expect is that the V-Smile Motion games are forwards compatible. You can play motion games on the original V-Smile, just without the motion controls. And speaking of, here is the motion controller. Now, I'm sure you're waiting to see the accessibility thing. Here's how they do it. You pinch this part on the back, twist it all the way around, and now the joystick is on the right. It's that simple. But yeah, the controller, it connects wirelessly, so all you have to do is flip it over and set which player you want the controller to be. In this instance, it'll be player 1. And once you boot up the console, it instantly connects. Like, faster than an Xbox controller. I don't know how they do it. When you start up any V-Smile motion game, it'll ask you if you want to use the motion controls or just the joystick and buttons. The motion controls essentially just allow you to tilt the controller around instead of using the joystick. I fail to see the point when the joystick is already right there in my hand, but they had to make every motion game work on the standard V-Smile as well, so it makes sense for the motion controls to be rudimentary, but I feel like it just serves to highlight how much of a half-baked gimmick the motion thing was in the first place, because that's what it feels like. It feels like a gimmick. They had to do it because Nintendo was doing it. And now we have to get into some more controversial territory with the V-Smile Baby, specifically targeting kids aged 9 months to 3 years. It has its own controller and its own cartridges. There were around 14 games released for it, and it has no intercompatibility with the original V-Smile whatsoever. Now, as for the controversy, I will try to keep it as short as I can. So basically, the American Academy of Pediatrics released a report that concluded that children don't understand what's happening on a TV screen until they're about 2 years old. Once they become cognizant enough, media can be good for them, but until then, that window of time would be much better used building basic motor and speech skills, using their imagination, and entertaining themselves, as opposed to staring at a mesmerizing glowing box and not learning anything. And yet, VTech released a video game console specifically to get babies staring at TV screens. They were essentially prototyping iPad kids. I'm not surprised that this thing was controversial. Anyway, as you'd expect from video games for literal babies, each game is about as simple as they come. You press a button and things happen. It could be colors, it could be sounds, it could make Donald Duck clap his hands, it could make animals visit Pooh Bear. To be completely honest, I have nothing to say. This is exactly what I anticipated, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. But my question is, why did this even need to be a cartridge-based video game system? They're most of the way there to making a toy for babies to play with. Why didn't they just do that? Well, it turns out they did do that. You just flip this switch to play alone mode, and then it's a standalone toy for entertaining a baby. Somehow, that makes this even more baffling. Okay, that's all the consoles, so now we're gonna shift gears to talking about the V-Smile's many interesting and bizarre peripherals. The first one I have for you is the V-Smile Art Studio Drawing Tablet. It only works with one cartridge, and that's its respective Art Studio game. I absolutely love video game drawing tablets. I'm the exact right person to be talking about this thing. And let me tell you, it is awful. So first of all, there's no hover, of course. You have to drag the pen on the pad to move the cursor and press slightly harder to actually start drawing. Every drawing tablet should have hover, no exceptions. Not having hover is the equivalent of driving a car, but you have to look at the brake pedal every time you want to brake. But it seems like they really want to tear my eyes away from the screen, away from the art that I'm drawing, to look at the UI stuff that's on the tablet itself. Like, watch me try to draw a circle. Look, like, it's It's just instantly rough. It looks horrible. And here's the problem. Notice how the pen and the pad have a ridiculous amount of friction while I'm trying to draw. It's unbearable. The pen should glide effortlessly. So I thought, okay, well, I'll just put some lubricant on it. The only lubricant I had on hand was some WD-40, so I applied a small layer, and wow, I didn't expect it to be that dirty, but it seemed to make the pen glide just a little bit better, so I carried on. But the friction was like one of a million problems. I can't express how inconsistent this is to use. I feel like every time I try to press the pen down, it takes a random amount of force to actually start drawing. Like sometimes it'll just release mid-line, and other times the slightest little tap will draw a line, and when I get the lines down in the right places, they come out looking so jittery and so rough because the friction of the pad, even with the lubricant, like doesn't help. I am excited to stop using this thing. I got actually so heated over over this stupid kid's tablet. Okay, the next peripheral we're going to talk about is the V-Smiles Smart Book. So when I was a kid, I used to have a Leap Pad. Not the Android tablet, the learning system, where you put a book in there and you touch the book with the pen and it reads it to you. This is like that, but a video game version. I only have one smart book, and it's Toy Story 2. And just to be clear, the game Toy Story 2 and the smart book cartridge Toy Story 2 are completely different things. You plug the smart book into the V-Smiles controller port, you place the book in the thing, you pop the red smart book cartridge in, and you boot it up. And here's the thing. Thing. They put an incredible amount of effort into this. Like, of course, it does what you'd expect. It reads the book to you, but each page on the right side has a little game that you can play. In the yard sale scene, the TV will tell you an object to look for, and then once you find it, you tap the page with the pen. In Woody's Roundup, you have to spot the difference between the page and the TV. In the scene where Al is packing for Japan, you have to click and drag the object on the page that matches the hole. And then there's a grand finale boss fight where you have to use the color buttons on the side of the smart book to blast Zurg. I never thought a book would have a boss fight, and it rocked. It was so much fun. After the story, there's a board game page where you and your friends roll the dice and try to get to the end, but some of the spaces you land on send you back or make you lose a turn. At the very end, there's a memory game where you tap the cards and try to match them all. I thought this whole experience was so polished and awesome. I was so impressed by the technology that was at play here. It made me wonder, like, why these sort of mixed media video game things don't exist for adults. This was a blast. I'm pretty sure this is using the same technology as the Art Studio tablet, but because you only really press on single objects and you're not clicking and dragging quite as much, it works so much better. But yeah, we went from a 0 out of 10 directly to a 10 out of 10, so well done, V-Smile Smartbook. I have to admit defeat. The V-Smile, it has everything. Like, I couldn't make this up if I tried. There's a V-Smile dance pad. Here it is, the Jammin' Gym class, in the box. 12 jammin' activities, right there, right in front of your eyeballs. Right away, I couldn't help but notice, this thing is tiny. 8, 6, 4. Okay, 8, 6, 4. So you have to jump and then release, is that? Okay. So you release when you're jumping, I get it. That's a pretty good idea. See, the problem with dance pads like this, right, is that every single button is active. There's no safe place to stand, there's no neutral zone, no place to catch your breath or chill out without having to worry that you're pressing 900 buttons at once. You're just, if you stand on this, you're pressing something. And you're navigating menus, and you're activating things, and it's really annoying. Okay, this one makes sense. I get this one. What if I just do it like this, though? What if I just use my big adult foot to stomp on both buttons at once? Yeah, this is pretty cool. It seems like they put a lot of effort into it. The problem is it's too small for my gigantic adult feet. This thing is very, very tiny. It's probably like 2 feet by 2 feet. Like, it is really small. So it's not really compatible with me. But I guarantee you, if I were 4 years old, I would absolutely love this. Like, there's no question about it. Now, it's finally time to talk about the 3rd generation V-Smile console, which is immediately identifiable by the gigantic IR port on the front, only one joystick port, and this port here, which again, we'll get there. As for why it says PC PAL on the front, this specific 3rd generation V-Smile was sold as a bundle with the PC PAL peripheral. Here it is. It is absolutely enormous. It's a full keyboard. You can slide this up to reveal the writing pad. It's got a joystick and an enter button on the sides. And if you flip it over, there's a mouse tucked away into this little port on the back. And on the left side, there's a tiny little mouse pad. But the thing is, the PC PAL is infrared only, so it's not compatible with any other V-Smile except for the 3rd gen. And that explains why this thing is so rare. When I went to go buy one, there were only 2 listed on eBay. So I bought the cheapest one, and when it arrived, I realized the batteries had been left in it for a decade. I'm no stranger to dealing with battery corrosion. If it's surface damage or I need to replace a wire or two, that is no big deal. So I opened it up to assess the damage, and unfortunately, this unit was beyond saving. The corrosion had gone all the way through the wiring harness, destroyed all the traces on the PCB. When this showed up at my doorstep, it was already a corpse. It was dead long ago. So what's the harm in doing a little bit more destruction? And I threw it directly in the dumpster.
I threw it directly in the freaking dumpster. That's waste my time and money.
So I bought the only other listing on eBay, which wasn't cheap, but I needed it to arrive in time for me to include it in the video, so I paid the price. And this one was missing the stylus, and I'm furious because the previous one that I had, the broken one, it had the stylus, and of the spare parts from that I kept, that wasn't one of them. So now I just have to cry that my PC Pal is forever incomplete. Once I got the PC Pal booted up, I was ready to be impressed and see the full potential of this crazy little device. All of that optimism was dashed upon noticing how horribly this hardware performs. Starting with the mouse, it doesn't work. Like, it's a rollerball mouse. I'm very familiar with these because I like retro computers. This thing doesn't work. Like, you can try all you want. It's not gonna leave that top left corner. I tried the mouse pad that came with it, like maybe it was there for a reason. No, it didn't help at all. So I got a proper desk mat. It also didn't help at all. So I'm like, okay, fine, the mouse doesn't work. Let's just try the keyboard then. But every time you press a key, it responds half a second later, and each key press is buffered, meaning the signal for each key press is waiting in line for the previous one to complete before you can do another. Now, I know why this happens. It's a limitation of infrared. If you're trying to teach young children how to type, teach that they can rely on the immediate feedback of key press. The keyboard minigames are incredibly shallow. A basic letter association game, 2 basic key location games. That's it. That's the whole thing. I was hoping the chat game was going to involve typing messages, but no, you don't even use the keyboard at all. You just pick from a multiple choice question using the joystick. The pen games were rudimentary as well. There's a coloring book and practicing writing letters. All the other features I couldn't use because they rely on the mouse, which I could not, for the life of me, get working. Honestly, I'm not surprised that this thing is as rare as it is. The fact that you had to buy a new generation console just to use this makes me wonder why they even bothered. But they actually gave the whole keyboard on V-Smile thing another shake with the V-Smile Smart Keyboard. The keys aren't amazing, but they're a lot closer to what you'd expect from an actual keyboard. It even has a little stand, so you can type with it angled if you prefer. And it has a cable, so it works on any V-Smile console. Now, right away, the Smart Keyboard game is fantastic. As you'd expect, it has a typing tutor. It teaches you where to place your fingers, and then you play whack-a-mole to practice hitting the keys. It's good enough to cover the very basics. And then you move on to V-Mail, where you compose entire emails to your friends, and then you respond back and forth. This is exactly what I wanted from the chat game. It's great. And then it teaches you how to download an image and attach it to the email. Back in 2007, these skills would have been incredibly valuable for kids to learn. There's also an adventure mode. Viruses have taken over CompuCity, and the kids have to help the little robot people with whatever problem they're facing. So you complete little typing puzzles until you've helped everyone, and then you move on to the boss fights, which are pretty fun, and they have really unique minigames. Not all of them focus on typing, which can be a nice change of pace. And then there's the knowledge zone, where you answer trivia questions about language, computers, or science. It's really unfortunate that this was in 2007, and no one could have anticipated that smartphones were about to take over the world. This was sort of betting on the fact that computer keyboards would be the future, but really computer literacy would only drop from this point, and there was no way for them to know. But I love the earnest effort into trying to make a good keyboard game, like one that covers everything from teaching typing to making an interesting adventure game that's built around it. Like, it fits the educational theme of the V-Smile. I just think they did a great job. But now, here's a really big twist. The Smart Keyboard actually came out before the PC Pal by about a year. They went from a fully fleshed out keyboard concept to one that feels so half-baked to the point of being barely functional. Like, maybe they were aiming for different age demographics, but that doesn't forgive all of the hardware flaws. I will not accept that. Okay, so I've acknowledged this port a few times now. It's on a bunch of different V-Smile consoles. What is it? This is the V-Link. On one side, it has this proprietary port, which connects to the console, and the other is a USB that you plug into your computer. A bunch of different games support the V-Link in one way or another. It'll say V-Link compatible on the back of the Smartridge. As for what it does, there's a lot of uncertainty. Information about the V-Link is extremely scarce. Even in my research, I wasn't able to come up with much. I asked the V-Smile Discord community, and they were kind of just like, I don't know, maybe you can download stuff to it? I'm not sure. But the one thing everyone agrees on is that it enables some internet features. The box says you can save your high scores to it and upload them online, so there used to be some sort of online leaderboard. There were also bonus games I assume you could download from the website and play on the console, but all of that is long gone now, and not much was archived as far as I can tell. I was able to get a copy of the V-Link desktop software, which showed me that this V-Link has some save data from Action Mania for V-Smile Motion, but I couldn't do anything with the data aside from delete it, which I couldn't bring myself to do for preservation's sake, obviously. It's strange to hold such an elusive device like this in my hands and still have it be such a mystery, because even V-Link compatible games don't seem to care whether it's plugged in or not. So I reached a dead end with my research, I reached a dead end with the desktop software, and I reached a dead end with trying to get it to do something on the actual console. If there are any reverse engineers or archivists that can figure out what this thing was originally supposed to do, or can even recover